when people hear about Ennerdale, there are so many jokes that come to mind. People say, people call us, yeah, Bloemfontein North. That's how far it is from everything. I remember a prayer I made many years ago. I said, Lord, we have this innate desire to help and make our house a lighthouse for those that are struggling, for those that don't have, for those that are in need, and we open our door to those that are in need.
Located 40 kilometers south of Johannesburg, beyond Soweto, near Orange Farm, lies the township of Ennerdale. Established in the 1970s, it was one of the few coloured townships under apartheid. Opportunities were scarce. The roads were long and lonely. The open veldt stretched endlessly, keeping people apart from the world beyond. Even today, many South Africans treat the name as a punchline. Too distant, too rough, too forgotten. Chris Kirkwood hears the jokes every day. He smiles, because he knows greatness has already emerged from this place. On 22nd of May 2017, 21-year-old Deshun Desel from Ennerdale reached the summit of Mount Everest, 8,848 meters above sea level. She became the youngest South African woman to do so. Great things rise here, Chris says.
You know, when people hear about Ennerdale, there are so many jokes that come to mind. People call us, yeah, Bloemfontein North. That's how far it is from everything. Or when something happens, then they will say, that will happen in Ennerdale only next week. You know, so there are many jokes about Ennerdale because it's so far, it's isolated, there's no development. So people see Ennerdale as this thrown away place. But I think within the borders of Ennerdale, there are those that have the talent, the understanding, the vision to make Ennerdale a better place. Right now, to many people, when they hear of Ennerdale, it's a joke. Or they see Ennerdale as a backward town. But mark my words, out of this place, great things will come. I can name a few. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Sean Daisel.
Chris Kirkwood grew up poor in the Eastern Cape. His mother always cooked enough for one more. Years later, living in Ennerdale with his own family, Chris prayed, "Lord, make our home a lighthouse for anyone lost in the dark." That prayer became more than words. It became a registered non-profit. It became the Lighthouse Foundation.
The desire to help people has always been a part of who I am. And growing up in Grahamstown, in the Eastern Cape, growing up in an impoverished area has always pushed me to help those that didn't have, because from a young age my father always taught me that I should always help those that are less fortunate. But also from how my mother was, she would always cook that there would always be enough for those that would come and ask for food. So I think from a young age, this desire was already birthed in me to help, and especially those that were less fortunate.
Beryl Kirkwood sees change unfold every day. A meal shared, a school uniform bought. A teenage girl handed sanitary pads so she doesn't miss school. Small acts, she says, but they travel far.
I would say that it is very fulfilling because you can actually see the difference that the lighthouse is making. Although it's a small difference, it's a difference, touching one family at a time. And I believe that by touching one person, that person will touch another person. So I feel very good that that the Lord actually gave us this mandate or this grace to do this. So
The need here never sleeps. Unemployment is close to 70%. When schools close, feeding schemes close. Children knock on the lighthouse door asking for the only meal they will get that day. Some weeks, the money runs out. Chris admits he sometimes feels lost. On those days, he prays, and he refuses to turn anyone away.
In Afrikaans, they say, geld maak reg wat krom is. So, a lot of our programs we are able to do because of the generosity of people. And there's so many that has been so generous to us through the year. But at the same time, there are days when I sit like this, where I don't know whether I'm coming or going because the need out there is so huge, it's so great. And we at times find ourselves in need. But the one thing I can say is that around us there are people that are very generous. But at the same time, we serve a living God. We serve a God that will look after you. And at times when I don't know whether I'm coming or going, I turn to Him. Because He knows who the people are and not me. But in saying that, at times it is our greatest challenge to meet that financial need, to feed that family, to make sure that those families that we have as beneficiaries are able to have a meal, or that child that needs school shoes or school clothing. Because a lot of the children we engage at schools, the schools run a feeding scheme. But now the schools are closed. So now you ask yourself, where does that child go for a meal? They come and knock on our door. Of all the social ills in Ennerdale, and I think this is in so many other communities around South Africa, there is this unseen evil where our kids are visionless. They do have ambition. We should look beyond the fact that they are wayward. We should look beyond the fact that they are angry. But I think what we as an organization and as a people should do is show them the way, help them, because our youth have ambition. We can look at how they make TikTok videos, how they use social media to become influencers. So there are many stories of success for many of our youths. But I think if we can help them discover those abilities in them, those giftings that they have been blessed with, they will not be angry all the time. But it will take a real effort from us as grown-ups, as visionaries, because we must remember, with vision comes discipline. And because most of our youth don't have vision, they are aimless and they roam the streets. Yes, unemployment is a big issue amongst the youth. But then again, if they are focused and if they have purpose, then their lives will take some kind of direction. And I think with you out there and in an organization like ourselves that believe that they are not beyond redemption.
The Lighthouse also steps into primary schools with a program called Adopt a School. They teach emotional intelligence, leadership, responsibility. The quiet strengths the formal system often misses.
We have a program called Adopt a School. So the the basis of the program is to empower our youngsters, to give them purpose, to get them to think critically, but also to teach them about emotional intelligence, about self-awareness, amongst other things. And why is this important? Because the Bible teaches us that if you train a child in the way he should go, he shall not depart from it. So it is a principle that if we teach them from a young age these critical skills, they will remember it when they become teenagers and when they become adults in the world. So right now our programs focus on mentorship program for the prefects. So it's about teaching them about leadership. It's teaching them about what it means to be a leader amongst your peers and what qualities a leader should possess. But it's also about mentoring them in that direction that they should go, that a leader will always take responsibility. A leader will always set an example and lead by example. Leadership is not about giving people orders. It's about uplifting those around you. And they can make an impact. And they will even surprise us with the giftings and the abilities that come forth from them. But all they require is a little bit of proper stewardship. And we that are older can provide that for them, to give them that guidance that they so desperately need. Because in those anger moments, in those frustrating moments, there's a voice crying out, I need help. And because they are overlooked, they are not given the opportunities, they turn to either gangsterism, they turn to either drugs, or they look at those that do illegal things as the role models because it's easy to achieve it. Selling drugs, I don't have to work for a boss. But the road of that leads to destruction and the destruction of so many others. So we need to create those platforms for them to express themselves and to show the world there is hope. But it will start with you and me and make that difference. We are in a time of the year where many families are struggling and where many children are looking forward to receiving a gift or something. So here at the Lighthouse, we always make sure that we try and help those, depending on resource availability.
A happy family becomes a happy community. A happy community becomes a healthier nation.
If we must fast forward 10 years from today, what will the Lighthouse Foundation look like? What will Ennerdale look like? What will Elders look like? I believe that with building partnerships with the likes of yourselves and with many others, with corporates, with other organizations, we can be in a position to eradicate hunger, first of all, to eradicate to some degree substance abuse, to eradicate gender-based violence, because that is the biggest demon, if I can put it that way, in our communities right now. It is so silent. When you look at a house from the outside, it looks pretty, but when you walk inside the house, it's a different ball game. So I think within 10 years, it's about building those partnerships and setting up scholarships, setting up safe houses, setting up our communities to thrive, setting up our youngsters to make such a huge impact on the world that we export leaders, we export visionaries, we export entrepreneurs, and like the lighthouse says, be the light in someone's darkness. So at the end of the day, a happy family leads to a happy community. A happy community leads to a better and healthier country. And that is where we see ourselves playing that role with so many others to establish communities that knows no hunger, that knows no poverty, that knows no substance abuse, that knows no gender-based violence, but families that are knit together in love and integrity.
Here, on the forgotten edge of Johannesburg, Chris and Beryl Kirkwood keep a small light burning. It began with one family's prayer to be useful. It continues with open doors, open hands, and the belief that the next child to stand on top of the world might be walking these streets today. No darkness is final. Not when ordinary people choose to stand together and keep the flame alive.